London rain that night had nothing in common with glossy postcards. It was a heavy, cold railway drizzle, the kind that chills you to the bone and smells of wet cast iron. The water crawled slowly, reluctantly, down the old windows of the Grosvenor Hotel, while somewhere deep below, under the soles of my boots, the vibration of the Victoria Station night trains pulsed with a muffled hum. I stood in the half-light at the end of a long corridor, where the worn carpet remembered more footsteps than an old cemetery. My 188 centimeters in a strict uniform merged with the thick shadows cast by the marble columns. 2026 night shift. Sometimes, a strange feeling washes over me. Pure surrealism. How did a guy from the Ukrainian provinces, from Alexandria, even end up here? Among these stucco vaults, creaky stairs, and walls that have survived an empire. 2 world wars, night bombings, and thousands of other people's long-decayed fates. I used to see architecture like this only in movies, but now, it is just my job. I am the one who locks these doors after midnight. Down in the staff room on the ground floor, it smells sourly of cold coffee and cheap fatigue. But up here, in the lobby, the air still holds the ghosts of the departed day. Trails of expensive perfume, the scent of damp cashmere and old money. At night, the hotel sheds its skin. It goes quiet, like a massive ancient beast that grew tired of pretending to be modern and finally exhaled. It develops its own distinct rhythm, viscous and deep, like a bass line in a dark tract that can only be listened to in absolute solitude. It all started with photographs. I stumbled upon them completely by chance. First, an old snapshot of Victoria from the beginning of the 20th century. Then another yellowed newspaper pages, monochrome engravings of the Grosvenor Hall's 1907. The exact same walls. The exact same tall windows. Almost the exact same dim, refracted light. And then it hit me. How many people had walked these corridors before dissolving into nothingness? Who sat in these deep armchairs in the spring of 1912? Who held a crystal glass in these reception rooms? Who laughed by these very columns, flicking cigar ash, not yet knowing that in just a week's time, the name would be carved into the list of the dead somewhere in the middle of the icy Atlantic? Historians, of course, will smirk. They will brush the dust off their archives and confidently state that the Titanic boat train departed from Waterloo, not here. And they will be absolutely right. But the London of that time was a tight, closed club of wealthy travelers, railway magnates, and transatlantic passengers. Everyone stewed in this Edwardian pot. And sometimes it seems to me that the walls remember what the clerks forgot to write down. Maybe some arrogant American in a heavy tweed coat really did spend the night here before that very voyage. Maybe he stood by this very Grosvenor window looking at the exact same London rain, listening to the tapping drops and thinking about the future. And in the morning he paid his bill, stepped out into the London dampness, and went to meet the ship that was preparing to become a legend. Maybe it is just a beautiful fantasy, the invention of a night security guard. But when the shift crosses the equator, such thoughts take on flesh and become dangerously alive. Sometimes, patrolling an empty floor, I catch myself feeling a creepy sensation. Time is broken here. It feels like you could turn the corner and bump into a gentleman in a top hat, a woman in long black gloves, a well-trained waiter from 1910, or that very man who does not yet know that the ocean has already prepared his bed. And then the sharp, soulless crackle of the walkie-talkie slices through the silence. Someone left the fire escape door open. The illusion shatters. The 21st century roughly bursts back in, demanding attention. I adjust the radio on my belt and smirk into the darkness. Because history is not just kings in textbooks and dusty exhibits under glass in museums. Sometimes, history is a simple Ukrainian man standing in the dead of night in an old London hotel, trying to hear how the past sounds through the heavy rumble of modern trains.